Active Investor here, bringing you another independent analysis. This time we're taking a look at ticker symbol SPHS. That's Sophiris Bio Incorporated. The chart we have here today is a 1 hour chart. Each candlestick on this chart representing 1 hour of trading. And this thing has been absolutely killing it the last month. Price going from about $2 to the high of $8.55. This thing's a complete beast. But we're not looking at the monthly chart here. We're looking at the past, well, about a week and a half. And that's because we don't want to have a bunch of lines all over the chart. You know, this thing has been making so many different ranges that it would be a little bit ridiculous to look at the entire month. So let's focus on the closest ranges that we have. So if you're looking at this chart, which I hope you are while you're watching this, you see that we have a short line here and a short line here and a long line here. Well, originally all three of these lines were much longer. And that's because I was recently day trading this and it did indeed increase further up from these prior pivot points. So we needed some new data. Well, I extended this one because it seemed to be such a solid pivot point, and these two are more intraday. So normally on my videos I have the segmented line for the intraday levels, but these lines were already there. So the only thing I did to kind of separate that was make this one longer so it fits with these other pivot points. So just keep in mind that these two shorter lines are more intraday, while this one has a little bit more foundation along it. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at what those levels are. So right away we have $8.11 for that top intraday level. Then we have this longer line here, which is going to be $7.70. Make this over here. And for that final intraday pivot point, we're looking at $7.50. So we have both intraday levels here. The rest of our pivot points I'm going to label right over here, falling in line with this area. Alright, so moving on down, we have $6.20. And the next level, before the last, what we're going to have is $5.35. And finally, all the way down there, we're looking at $4.40. There we are. So 811, 770, 750, 670, I'm sorry, 620, 535, 440. So you can see a pretty wide range. From that bottom pivot point, we're looking at $4.40. The top pivot point, $8.11. So most likely we shouldn't be getting down here. If we end up back down there, then this thing was a very good short. And actually today, it would have been a really good short from the high of the day. About, let's see. Well, about an hour after it made that high of $8.55, it fell all the way down to a low of $4.82 today. So this entire area would have made an absolutely beautiful support. Crashed through 1, 2, 3 levels of support before bouncing back up and finding support above 535. And what's interesting is if you guys have watched my videos in the past, I go on and on about this yellow line. That's the 50-period moving average. That's my favorite moving average of them all. And you can see how this thing fell all the way back down to that 50-period average. It barely pressed down lower than it. This thing right around here was probably about 490, and this low right about 480. So it basically bounced off the 50-period average, came back up, found support on that 50-period average here, and then found support on our actual pivot point at 535. So pretty interesting stuff there. But overall, look at those moving averages. Purple, green, yellow. That purple's 13, green 20, and the yellow, of course, 50. Almost this entire area, we've had the 13 period above the 20 period, above the 50 period. What that tells us is that the trend has been so strong that all the periods recently are above the prior periods. 13 periods above 20 periods, 20 periods above 50 periods, and of course 13 periods also above 50 periods then. The only exception was over here. When the movement became a bit more choppy, we did have the purple line cross below the green line, 13 cross below the 20, and that was probably, you know, right around here, indicating that 20 periods ago, which was right around here, was indeed higher than this area, which makes perfect sense. But it came back around, made higher lows, and pressed back up, and those averages straightened out into the perfect bullish order. So you'll see that even though we had this massive selling off, our averages are still bullish. The purple never crossed over the green, and both never crossed over the yellow. Just like over here, green can cross below purple, but if both those cross below yellow, then the trend is pretty much done. It'll take a lot more fighting past resistance to break back up and start an uptrend if we cross below that 50-period average. If these 13 and 20 periods cross below the 50-period average, rather. So the fact that that never happened, even on this massive selling off, tells us two things. the trend is still up. And also, the price rose so sharply that we can have a massive selling off. And it was also a sharp massive selling off, which means that 13 and 20 periods was pretty recent data that still put us well above that 50 period average from way back over there. That was a terrible arrow. Way back over there. Let's take a look at our RSI on the bottom, and then this video will be pretty much wrapped up. Not much else to say. You guys can see how powerful this uptrend is and how perfect these pivot points are. So if you don't have your own chart for this, feel free to use those pivot points: 811, 770, 750, 620, 535, and 440. So we found an oversold point over here on that red candle after the selling off. Previous oversold point was over here. So we have a bit of an oversold downtrend. You know, we went oversold in this area, and then we went oversold in this area. So that's not good. We don't like seeing that, but that's just one indicator. Our other indicators are still bullish. The other indicators, of course, being those moving averages and the fact that we stayed above that 50 period average and found support at 535. So what ideally we want to see happen is for this stock to press back up, for us to push over $6.20, and the next time we go oversold, hopefully it's somewhere above $6.20. Then the trend is up once again. We were oversold here, and then we went oversold there. So we really need to see what happens. I think this thing can go again. It does look really bullish overall, you know, but you just got to be careful. If you bought up here, you could have lost half your investment today. You could have got burned really bad, especially if you did not have a stop loss. But let's see if there's anything else interesting on here. Not really. Just a really powerful stock this thing's been. Definitely keep watching this one because it makes some really big moves and it reads very well technical analysis. That's really the end of this video. If you guys enjoyed this, please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed to this channel. A lot of more content like this, and feel free to join us in our chat room at activeinvestors.net. Everyone's welcome and we'd love to see you there. So, have a good one.